All right, so today's notes. Today we're actually going to be looking at how we simplify a radical. How we simplify a radical. So we talked about this a little bit last semester if you were with me. But if not, simplifying a radical, we're going to use something called the ladder method. And I'm going to kind of reveal some steps here step by step. So go ahead and write these in for me real quick. The first thing, well, you know what? I'll come back to that in just a second. So the first thing we're going to do is we always start by taking whatever the number is on the inside of our radical and writing that number on the inside of these little half boxes here. Okay? So that's our first step, is to write that number on the inside. Now, the next piece is to always divide by the smallest number that we possibly can. So in this case, that number is 2. It won't always be 2, but it very often is. So what do we get? When we divide by 2, we're left with 24. And then we keep going. What's the smallest number we can divide into 24? Another 2. What does that leave us with? 12. So we write our answer there. 24 divided by 2 is 12. Now we keep going. What can we divide into 12? Also 2. That leaves us with 6. So now from there we ask ourselves, well, what can we divide into 6? Oh, look at that. Another 2. Now we're left with 3. So what's the smallest number we can divide into 3? Well, it happens to also be 3. When you get 1 here at the end, that means that you are done. When you get a 1 at the very end, that means you're done dividing. Now, here's what's important. The most important thing are the numbers in this outside section. We honestly don't care about these anymore. All we care about are those numbers on the outside. Okay? So, what we're going to do, and here's where your notes come into play. The first thing we have to do is we have to circle pairs of the same number. Now, pairs are like shoes. They come in pairs. So it's going to be 2 shoes, but it's a single pair. So I have a couple pairs here. My first pair is right there. So I'm circling that pair. I have another pair, so I circle that pair. So that's our first thing is we're going to circle pairs of the same number. Step 2 is put a box any number without a pair. So we only had one number here that doesn't have a pair. So this 3 doesn't have a pair. So that's what we write down here below. Okay, we square that 3. And then our last note is to circle the circled pairs go on the outside and the box numbers go on the inside. So what do I mean by that? What we mean by that is down here in your actual answer, you're going to put your circled pairs on the outside. Okay, let me see if I can scroll down a little bit here. Okay, our circled pairs go on the outside. So I want you to think about this for a second. We have 2 pairs of 2. So we have a pair of 2s right here. We have a pair of 2s and a pair of 2s. So what's going on the outside is 2 pairs of 2s. Okay? So notice I didn't write 4 2s. I just wrote it twice because I have it 1 time, 2 times. So 2 pairs of 2s. And then the only number that was boxed was our 3, so the 3 goes on the inside. So last but not least, let's actually simplify and write our answer. Obviously, we know what 2 times 2 is. 2 times 2 equals 4. So our answer is 4 square root of 3. And that is how you simplify a square root. So let's jump in. I want to practice 1 or 2 more of these. So let's start out with these easy ones. These, we should already know that this is 4. But if you don't know it, we could put it in the box and we could divide out our numbers here. So 2 gives me 8. Divide 2 again, that gives me 4. Divide 2 again, that gives me 2. Divide 2 again, that gives me 1. So I have a pair of 2s, which means that's 2 times 2 with nothing at all left on the inside. So my answer is 4, which we already knew. Okay, same idea here for your x squared. If you think about x squared, you're really just thinking, how many x's is that? That's 2 x's. So once again, what are we going to do? We're going to circle that x. That's a pair of x's. So what does this equal? This equals x to the first power because we only have a single pair of x's. So there we go. The square root of x squared is x. So take a second, try out these next 2 problems. Press pause, try these next 2 problems, and see what you get. Okay, what did we end up with? You should have ended up here with a square root of 25 is 5, and the square root of y squared is simply y. So that's a really good one, important that we're doing well there. Last but not least, this one you could probably plug in your calculator if you need to, but this one ends up being 3y, because the cube root of 27 is 3, and then x cubed, you're finding groups of 3 this time, and that ends up giving you y, or excuse me, it should just be x, not y. Give me there. So this should have been just x to the 1. You have one pair, one group of 3. All right, so there we go. We've kind of gotten our feet wet. Really important that we follow these steps and we're really careful as we simplify our square roots. Very, very important that we're dividing by the smallest number every time. And from there, moving forward, trying to find that simplified square root, ending on that example with 4 square root of 3. So as we move on, we're going to keep practicing. I want you to practice a bunch of these here. It takes a bit of time, but press pause if you need to, and let's keep practicing.